Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 1, Part 2. Now the Monkey King was on his way. He took advantage of the wind as the raft headed towards Jambudvipa, continent of the south. Luck seemed to be on his side as well. Since he went aboard the wooden raft, the southeast wind had been blowing hard, which sent him to the northwestern shore of Jambudvipa. He tested the depth of water with the pole and found a shallow area. He then abandoned the raft and jumped on shore. Humans could be seen fishing, hunting, and doing all sorts of chores by the seaside. He approached them and made some weird faces, which sent all the humans running away, leaving their things behind. The Monkey King caught up with a slow runner and pulled his clothes off. He then put the clothes on himself, mimicking the humans. Swaggering, he traveled through provinces and cities. In the markets, he learned human manners and speech. By day he ate and by night he slept. His entire mind consumed with finding the way of the Buddha, the immortal, or the sage, so he could learn the recipe for eternal youth. However, he saw that humans lived only for fame and wealth instead of for their own lives. Truly, the chase for fame and wealth will never cease, rising early and retiring late, a life never freed. Body on a mule, mind on a noble steed. Now a minister, wishing to be a royal breed. They suffer fatigue and stress for mere clothing and food, never fearing that the kings of the underworld will have them hooked, seeking for their descendants riches and fortunes, not one, not a single one, willing to turn back and look. The Monkey King sought the immortal's way with no luck. On this continent of the south, he traveled through places big and small, and soon almost 10 years went by. One day, he happened to arrive by the West Sea. He thought to himself, "There must be immortals beyond the seas." So he made a raft just like the one before, this time by himself, and floated across the West Sea. He sailed straight into the borders of Apalgadania, continent of the West. After going ashore and searching for a long time, he came up to a high mountain of majestic beauty, covered by deep and mysterious forests. The Monkey King feared no carnivores or beasts, and headed straight up its peak. What a magnificent mountain! Sun or rain, it shone lively shades of color. Evergreen trees standing for centuries, never found elsewhere. Undying blossoms and grass, not seen even in the most blessed lands. Birds and streams sang in chorus, while precious fungi and moss covered the layered cracks and cliffs. The mountain range rose and fell like a dragon's pulse. No doubt, the home of a hermit. The Monkey King was enjoying the scenery when suddenly he heard someone's voice from the depths of the forest. He rushed into the woods and listened carefully. It was someone singing a song, of which the final line was, "Those I meet are either immortals or Taoists, sitting quietly to spell out the words of Huangting." When the handsome Monkey King heard this, his heart was filled with delight. Turns out the immortal is hiding in this place. He immediately jumped into the forest and found it was a woodcutter, with his axe raised, about to chop a piece of wood. He was modestly dressed, but very strong. The Monkey King approached and shouted, "Old immortal, your disciple greets you." The man threw away his axe to return his greetings. "I don't deserve this at all. Look at me, I barely have enough to wear and eat. What kind of immortal could I be?" The Monkey King said, "How could you speak the words of an immortal if you aren't one?" The woodcutter asked, "What do you mean by words of an immortal?" The Monkey King said, "When I just arrived at the edge of the forest, I heard you say, 'Those I meet are either immortals or Taoists, sitting quietly to spell out the words of Huangting.' Huangting, meaning the Yellow Court, is a true classic of the Taoist religion. How are you not an immortal then?" The woodcutter chuckled. "To tell you the truth, this song is sung to the tune of Manting Fang, meaning a garden filled with fragrance. An immortal taught me the song. He lived next to me and noticed my exhaustion and stress over daily matters, so he told me to hum the song whenever I am troubled. both to distract myself and to relieve the mind. I was just thinking about inadequacies, which led to the singing. Who could have thought that you would hear it? The Monkey King asked, Since you live next door to an immortal, why not cultivate your spirit with him? Would it be nice if you could learn the way to eternal youth? The woodcutter answered, I've had a hard life. My parents raised me to about 8 or 9. I barely understood the world before my father passed, leaving me with a widowed mother. I have no siblings. As the only child, I have no choice but to care for my mother day and night. Now that she's growing old, it's even more difficult to abandon her. Unfortunately, the farmland is too barren to support us. Hence my chopping a couple bundles of wood. I will carry them to the markets to exchange for a few coins to buy some rice. Then I will cook the rice and arrange a meal to serve my aged mother. That's why I have no time for cultivation. The Monkey King said, If what you said is true, you're indeed a filial gentleman. I'm sure good things will happen to you in the days to come. Do tell me where that immortal lives so I can visit him. The woodcutter answered, It's not far at all. This mountain is named Lingtai Fangcun Shan. Now, Lingtai, literally meaning spiritual tower, refers to the heart. Fangcun, referring to the heart's size and position, is another name for the organ. So Lingtai Fangcun Shan could be understood as Mountain of the Heart. The woodcutter continued, In the mountain there is a cave named 斜月三星洞. Here, 斜月 means a slanted moon. 三星 means 3 stars. When you put the shapes together, it forms the Chinese character for heart. So 斜月三星洞, cave of the slanted moon and 3 stars, can also mean cave of the heart. The woodcutter then went on to say, In that cave lives an immortal named 须菩提祖师. 须菩提, or Subhuti, is the patriarch's name. He trained countless disciples. Now I see there are still 30 to 40 people receiving his teachings. Follow that small path and walk southward for about 7 or 8 li. That would be his residence. Li is a measurement for distance. It is around 500 meters of today. 7 or 8 li would be about 3.5 to 4 kilometers. Having heard this, the Monkey King grabbed the woodcutter and said, Good fellow, why not go with me? Should anything good come out of this, I would not dare forget this favor of yours. The woodcutter said, What a stubborn man you are. I already told you about everything. Can't you just leave me alone? If I went with you, wouldn't it disrupt my business? Who will now feed my old mother? I'm cutting more wood. You can go by yourself. Go on now. Hearing this, the Monkey King had no choice but bid farewell to the man. He came out of the deep woods and traced the path upward. Passing through a hill for about 7 or 8 li, he indeed saw a dwelling. Straightening his body, he saw that it was truly a marvelous place. Radiant lights above, lush fragrance below, cranes calling from beyond the layers of heaven, phoenixes soaring in their coats of rainbow hues. Apes, deer, lions, and elephants of the rarest colors come or hide as they please. Look closely at this blessed land of wonders. Not even paradise itself could compare. The Monkey King saw that the gate of the cave was tightly shut. It was a quiet place, without any sign of humans. Suddenly, he turned around to find a stone tablet on top of the cliff. It measured 3 zhang in height and 8 chi in width, which is about 10 meters high and almost 3 meters wide. On the tablet were 10 characters. 灵台方寸山, 斜月三星洞, meaning Mountain of the Heart, Cave of the Slanted Moon and 3 Stars. The handsome Monkey King was overjoyed. The humans of this place are indeed honest. This mountain and cave do exist. He stared at the gate for long enough, but still had not the courage to knock. Instead, he jumped on the top branches of a pine tree. There, he picked seeds to eat and had some fun. Before long, with a squeak, the gate of the cave opened, and out walked an immortal youth. What noble bearing and refined features! completely different from an ordinary youth of the mortal breed. The youth walked out and shouted, "Who is there messing around?" The Monkey King jumped off the tree with a bound, then approached with a bow, saying, "Immortal youth, I am a disciple seeking the way from an immortal. I dare not mess around." The immortal youth chuckled. "Are you really here to seek the way?" The Monkey King answered, "I am indeed." The youth said, "Our teacher has only just got off the bed. He was on the dais to teach the way. Yet, before getting to the bottom of it, he told me to come open the gates. He said, 'Out there is someone here to cultivate his spirit. You may go receive him.' I guessed he must have met you." The Monkey King laughed. "That's me indeed." The youth then said, "Come inside with me." The Monkey King tidied his clothes and followed the youth deep into the hidden paradise. There were row after row of luxurious towers, layer after layer of pearly palaces, as well as countless quiet spaces and tranquil rooms. They came all the way under a jade dais. Patriarch Puti sat solemnly on the dais, with 30 young immortals standing in 2 rows at his service. Indeed, the Patriarch is a golden immortal of the West, free of all filth. He was not born, and he would not perish. He would exist for as long as heaven exists. The handsome Monkey King saw him and threw himself forward to kowtow, knocking his head on the ground for who knows how many times, while muttering, "Master, master, your disciple pays his respect with the utmost devotion, the utmost devotion." The Patriarch asked, "Where are you from? Tell me in clear words of your origin and name before you bow." The Monkey King answered, "I'm from Puavideja, continent of the East. My home is in the kingdom of Aolai, a place called Water Curtain Cave on the mountain of flower and fruit." The Patriarch shouted, "Get him out! He's merely a piece of lying, deceptive scum. Attaining the fruit of cultivation is out of the question." The Monkey King desperately knocked his head on the ground again and again, saying, "Your disciple spoke the most honest words. There was no deception, none at all." The Patriarch said, "Since you're being honest, why did you say you're from the continent of the East? That place is 2 oceans and an entire southern continent away from here. How did you even get to this place?" The Monkey King kowtowed before answering, "Your disciple has sailed across oceans and traveled through the lands for about a dozen years before arriving here." The Patriarch said, "If you gradually made it here, so be it. What is your surname?" The Monkey King answered, "I haven't got a temper. If people scold me, I'm not troubled. If they beat me, I do not get angry. I would just apologize politely, and that's it. I haven't got a temper all my life." Turns out, both the words for surname and personality are read Xing in Chinese. When the Patriarch asked the Monkey King, "What is your Xing?" he completely misunderstood. The Patriarch heard his answer and said, "I don't mean your temper, I mean what your parents' surname is." The Monkey King said, "I haven't got parents." The Patriarch said, "If you haven't got parents, I assume you grow on a tree." The Monkey King said, "No, not on a tree, but from a rock. All I remember is that an immortal rock stood on the mountain of flower and fruit. On the year the rock broke, I was born." The Patriarch heard this and was secretly pleased. He then said, "If that's the case, you're a creature born from nature herself. Walk a few steps for me." The Monkey King leapt to his feet and stumbled around a few times. The Patriarch smiled and said, "Your body isn't the most refined, but you do look like a pinecone-eating macaque, a husun. I will give you a surname for what you are. If we dissect the character hu, we can first get rid of the particle for beast. What we are left with are the characters gu and yue. Gu means old, and yue means moon, indicating the spirit of yin. What is old and yin cannot reproduce. It's better to look at the characters sun. Without the particle for beast, we're left with the characters zi and xi. Zi means son, and xi refers to a small infant. All this corresponds to the fundamental concept of the newborn. I shall let your surname be Sun. The Monkey King heard this and was filled with joy. He kowtowed to the patriarch and said, "Splendid, splendid indeed! Today, I finally know what my surname is. Now that I have a surname, may your compassion live on and give me a personal name so it's easier for you to call me." The patriarch said, "In my sect, there are 12 characters used for different divisions. You would be the youngest disciple of the 10th generation." The Monkey King asked, "Which 12 characters?" The patriarch said, 广 meaning broadness, 大 meaning greatness, 智 meaning knowledge, 慧 meaning wisdom, 真 meaning truth, 如 meaning conformity, 性 meaning nature, 海 meaning sea, 隐 meaning cleverness, 悟 meaning awakening, 圆 meaning completion, and 觉 meaning awareness. By your ranks, you happen to be receiving the character Wu, meaning awakening. I will hence name you Sun Wukong. Is that fine with you? Now, Sun comes from the word macaque, as explained before. Wu means awakening, and Kong means emptiness. The Monkey King burst into laughter and said, "Splendid, splendid indeed! From now on, I will be called Sun Wukong." Indeed, when chaos was first defined, he had no surname. To break the lifeless emptiness requires first to awaken to emptiness. We do not know what fruits of cultivation await in the future. Please wait until the next chapter.